Did you hear Verstappen's radio in Singapore? The four-time Formula One world champion lashed out at his own car with a statement that left the paddock frozen. It's impossible to drive. But the most surprising thing is that his anger revealed much more than it seemed, a technical secret within the RB21 that Red Bull tried to keep quiet. Before continuing, let me know your opinion in the comments. Do you think Verstappen's anger was simple frustration or a sign that Red Bull is losing control? Because what happened in Marina Bay could mark a turning point for Red Bull's dominance. Stay until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The team arrived expecting to confirm the improvements to the RB21 after introducing a key modification to the front wing and an aerodynamic package adapted to high-load circuits. In theory, these modifications should offer Verstappen a more balanced car with greater grip in slow corners and superior stability under braking. But the reality was much more complex. From free practice onwards, the Dutchman reported contradictory sensations. The car felt fast on one corner, but unstable on the next. This unpredictable behavior, typical of a car outside its optimal window, was the first warning sign in the garage. During qualifying, the situation seemed to be under control. Verstappen managed to extract a clean lap that left him second, just a few tenths off George Russell's pole position. However, the doubts didn't disappear. The balance remained fragile, especially in low-speed corners, where the RB21 showed a clear tendency to understeer. The team tried to adjust the suspension and brake force distribution, but the margin was minimal. Any change at one end of the car altered the behavior at the other. This constant struggle between speed and control became the central theme of the weekend, and the root of the conflict that would erupt in the middle of the race. When the lights went out on Sunday, the initial optimism vanished in a matter of laps. Verstappen began to feel that the car wasn't responding as he expected. The steering seemed heavier, the front end wasn't catching properly in slow corners, and overheating rear tires became a recurring problem. Over the radio, Max began to express frustration, demanding immediate explanations and adjustments. The engineers tried to guide him, but the situation was too volatile. On a circuit as demanding as Marina Bay, where the walls are always close and every corner requires surgical precision, an unbalanced car is a sign of failure. Verstappen's radio became the turning point of the Singapore Grand Prix. Halfway through lap 8, as the Dutchman was trying to maintain pace with Russell and manage the pressure from Hamilton and Norris behind him, his voice sounded over the team channel, a mixture of anger and frustration. "The balance is completely off again, it's impossible to drive." That phrase wasn't just an emotional outburst, but a real-time technical diagnosis. Max wasn't exaggerating. The RB21 behaved as if it had two faces, showing grip in some corners and a complete lack of grip in others. The sensors reflected a sudden loss of stability when changing direction, and the engineers instantly understood that something about the new aerodynamic package wasn't working as expected. From that moment on, the tension in the garage became palpable. Verstappen tried to correct on the fly what the car wasn't giving him. He adjusted the braking balance corner after corner, manually adjusting traction and seeking to compensate for the understeer with a much more aggressive driving style. Every word over the radio revealed the internal battle he was waging inside the cockpit, not only against the clock, but against a car that didn't respond to his talent. From the pit wall, engineer Gianpiero Lambiase tried to calm the situation with a more technical tone, suggesting small variations in the brake temperature and energy management strategy, but nothing seemed to stabilize the RB21. The most surprising thing was that, despite the chaos, Verstappen continued to extract performance from a car on the verge of inconsistency. His ability to adapt allowed him to maintain a competitive pace, but the mental strain was visible. Several onboard cameras showed him fighting the steering wheel in every slow corner, while the car slid at times as if the front axle didn't exist. This type of driving, so close to error, showed that Red Bull hadn't completely solved the structural problem of aerodynamic balance. Engineers began reviewing real-time data and discovered that the problem wasn't a broken part, but rather the way the new aerodynamic package interacted with the Singapore track. The RB21 was generating too much downforce on the rear compared to the front axle, causing erratic behavior in slow corners and accelerated tire wear. That millimeter difference in aerodynamic distribution was enough to destabilize a car designed for perfection. Red Bull knew something wasn't right, and that the problem wasn't a one-off. The developments introduced could be generating a structural balance issue that wouldn't be easily resolved. Verstappen, for his part, tried to restrain his public statements, but his body language betrayed him. In subsequent interviews, he spoke with a measured tone but laced with hidden messages. He said the team had made a step forward in pace, but not yet in consistency, and that the car was still very sensitive to any setup changes. For those familiar with his way of communicating, it was a clear warning message. Behind those words lay a direct criticism of the car's development, an elegant way of pointing out that the problem wasn't with his driving, but with the technical direction the team had taken. Verstappen is usually cautious with his comments, but on this occasion, he left the door open to doubt about Red Bull's internal management. Meanwhile, from the technical area, Laurent Mekies came out to explain with a diplomatic tone. He acknowledged that the team was working on an extremely delicate balance and that each circuit represented a different challenge for the RB21. In other words, he admitted without saying, so that the car didn't have a wide operating window and that the perfect setup depended on factors the team couldn't always control. Red Bull had opted for an extreme configuration in an effort to maximize downforce, and this technical decision brought clear advantages, but also difficult problems to manage. The new front wing, with increased camber and more aggressive downforce management, offered a noticeable increase in grip during slow corners, which in theory should have benefited the team on a circuit where every braking effort is critical. However, this same increase altered the car's overall balance, shifting the load distribution too far to the rear. The result was erratic behavior. The car was stable in fast corners, but tended to understeer under braking and oversteer under acceleration. The RB21's strong suit was undoubtedly its qualifying speed. With a new soft tire, Verstappen could generate the ideal temperature in a matter of seconds, allowing him to set times close to pole. But this strength faded when the car had to sustain its pace on long runs. Thermal degradation skyrocketed after just a few laps, and the loss of front-end grip forced Max to constantly change his driving style. Red Bull had improved engine cooling with a more open rear deck, which reduced the risk of the ERS overheating, but it failed to contain tire fatigue. On a circuit where heat and bumps punish every component, this lack of consistency was lethal to the car's balance. Another critical point was the sensitivity of the suspension. Red Bull was forced to slightly raise the car's ride height to prevent the flat floor from hitting Singapore's uneven curbs. This modification reduced the effectiveness of the aerodynamic flow under the car, and with it, stability during changes of direction. The RB21, designed to operate close to the ground, lost some of its ground effect and became more dependent on the front wing to generate downforce. This change, although small, completely altered the dynamic behavior. Verstappen felt it immediately. The car didn't respond the same way from lap to lap, with each brake or throttle adjustment generating a different reaction. It was, as he described it, an unpredictable beast. Despite all this, the package also showed positive signs. In the midfield, where medium-speed corners demanded precision and traction, the RB21 performed resolutely. The new airflow distribution to the side pods helped maintain optimal engine temperature, allowing Verstappen to maintain decent pace even in critical phases of the race. The overall aerodynamic efficiency of the package was still among the best in the championship, but its operating window was too narrow. Any slight variation in temperature, fuel, or load completely upset the balance. Verstappen, in this context, has become the balance between human talent and mechanical imperfection. His ability to adapt to an unstable car, maintain focus under pressure, and extract speed even in adverse conditions is what keeps Red Bull at the top. Let me know in the comments, will Verstappen continue to fully trust his team, or will these kinds of episodes begin to erode his relationship with Red Bull? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.